The last time we talked, we said that your goal was for a test review or for ways to review content in class that we were going to use collaboration, using specifically a Chromebook. So today we're going to talk about how we could incorporate technology, some strategies we could use to make that happen. So what I've got here is, since we talked about group work, this is a checklist that shows how group work can best be used in classes to make it the most successful. Now, granted, we don't all do this all the time, but if you look at this checklist, is there anything that stands out as something that maybe works really well in your class, or maybe something that you don't think would work well?
I'm talking about things that would work well. Oh, psychologically safe environment, like that.
Okay.
You know.
So that's one thing that goes really well in your class?
Yeah.
Okay.
Understanding the learning structure. So the teacher understands. Yeah, I mean, I understand the learning structure. The students do as well.
And you've created a safe environment.
Yeah.
So we would just go down here, and as long as all of these things are fixed, then that means that group work should work perfectly. And if we add a Chromebook in there, then we've added technology, and hopefully this will work pretty smoothly. So things like the teacher has planned how to adjust lesson if the plan is, and the activities take more time. So like if you get to the end of the class and you've got too much time, you know, like things like this, make sure that it's important that you know how to roll it over to the next day.
Yeah, like find a good stopping point. Like if I realize, sometimes I will see that, like I'll, you know, have this great ideas, and then I'll say, okay, what's going to be kind of like a natural stopping point so that, you know, we can stop well, but then also, you know, start well.
Yeah,
the next class.
Because if you don't, then you have some kids who finish everything ahead of time, and that's why a lot of times the Chromebook is really good because you can schedule things. Do you do that sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
Because when I schedule it, a lot of people, if they see it pop up, they'll go ahead and answer all of the questions ahead of time. So here, what we've got are some strategies that we can use. So these are just showing about how bringing students into the cloud, using that for collaboration, allows them to access from their phones as long as they have their Google account.
Yeah.
So if you did a review and you had it on Google Classroom, you could access it, they could access it at home. So I'll give you this, the checklist and the strategies, and both of those we can use to make sure that we have everything set up for when we put this into place. All right, so what method of modeling do you think you'd be most likely to want to try? Do you think doing things like observing it in a class where the student is present would be most effective? Do you think that using it in a class without students present, sort of like in something like right now, if you're working through the kinks without kids there, do you think more of like having a teacher working through it with you, observing another teacher, watching videos of other teachers doing it? What do you think works best as far as like when you're wanting to implement a new strategy in your classroom? How do you best figure out what works for you?
In a class with, like, observe another teacher with students present, because, I mean, it doesn't matter what the subject area is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, because then, not only can I observe, but then I can ask them questions.
Yeah.
You know, like either follow-up questions or, like, more in-depth questions, like behind the scenes about things that were happening. You know, like, how did you, like, you know, just about behind-the-scenes questions.
Okay, and the good thing is, I guess in your situation, since you have a teacher in the same content area right next to you, does she have the same planning as you? Okay, so if you ever needed anything, you could always just observe hers and we could work with that.
It's helpful.
All right. One thing I wanted to show you was how we do something in our class with Google Classroom. And since you're in Spanish, one thing you can do, I know you talked about using videos and having students converse and answer questions based on videos.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll share an entire like a web quest type thing where they're looking stuff up. But here I just had a graphic that I added that students worked in groups with, and they answered questions based on the graphics. So if you did have a video, obviously you could link it as a material instead of an assignment.
Ooh, infographic.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
The kids don't love them as much because on these screens they're really hard to read. But you can zoom in
yeah.
and out. But if they had this, something in Spanish, or they had a video and they all could watch it, maybe, I know the concern was like noise if you had multiple groups.
Yeah.
But with this, if we used maybe 4 to 5 groups and they were in a small enough setting, they could watch videos and then talk about it together and answer questions based on that. And then you've got the collaboration, you've used technology, and since you said in your first thing that some of the students don't feel comfortable speaking out, it's almost like we've differentiated for them as well.
Because I would make sure that, they were grouped with people that, I would be very...
Yeah, could either help them with what they need help with. Yeah. Okay, so what we need to do now, we need to set up a time that we could implement the practice. So what that means is when do you see this being useful in your class over the next few weeks? You said you have a test coming up, right? Friday. So is there a time between now and Friday that you think that you could find time to take something you're doing as a review and use Google Classroom as a way to help kids collaborate?
Yeah. So I could just, make a post and put like a few different links on there, because we'll usually do Quizlet Live. Okay. And so I could have that.
How does Quizlet Live work?
So it's a review, so you use a Quizlet that's already made, and then it puts them in groups, so they all log in, just like with Kahoot, kind of, and it puts them in different groups. All right. And it has answers that only that each individual student can see. Okay. And so you'd have 3 answers, I would have 3 answers, someone else would have 3 answers, and someone else would have another 3 answers. We can all see the question, but I can only see my answers. So I don't know what answers you have. I only know the answers I have. Yeah. If you answer correctly, then it moves ahead for the whole group. But if you answer incorrectly, it goes back to 0. Okay. But then every time because it gives you instantaneous feedback. So if you get it wrong, then it tells you what the right answer was. So you shouldn't get it wrong next time. So
the links to those things could be put on Google Classroom, and students could work together as they do those Quizlet Lives. Yes, they could do that, and then I could have just like something for them to read, or I could have a Google Doc on there for them to work on. Okay. Together. So let me ask you this: between now and Friday's the test, so you would need to do this review possibly on Thursday. Yeah. Would that work? Yeah. Okay, so Thursday. What's the date Thursday? 24. 10/24. That's when we're going to implement it. So what we would need to do is possibly get in here tomorrow so that either I can send you a video and you have the information here, or as Heather's doing it, watch her do it too. So we'd have the modeling on Wednesday, and that's the 23rd. And then you would implement it on Thursday. So what we'll do is in our next session, after you've done this, after you've seen if it helps, hopefully the goal is that it should help the grade. Yeah. Their test grade should be higher if collaboration using technology is really helping the way we think it should. So when we get in here next time, we'll look at what you found. We'll talk about some of the things you think worked, didn't work, and we will see how that works. So, you have any questions? Okay, perfect.